Hudson County View, live and uncut. I'm your host, the best there is, the best there was, the best there ever will be, John Arhitis, and of course the latest and greatest at Hudson County News. So today we have a lot to talk about. First, we're going to lead off on a somber note. Of course, thoughts, prayers, and condolences to the Bayonne community. We learned that last night at the Lincoln Community School, two brothers, one 16 and one 19, drowned in the pool. Unfortunately, there's really not a heck of a lot of other information to release at this time. You know, we know that their sister was also watching when this happened, or at least was present at the pool. And of course, authorities are investigating what exactly led to this tragedy. So again, you know, sincere condolences, obviously a very unfortunate set of circumstances there. So beyond that, we're going to talk about Tuesday's primary results. Not a heck of a lot to talk about in terms of who won, of course. U.S. Rep. Bill Pascrell, Donald Payne Jr., and now Ron Menendez will also be joining them in D.C. But we're going to break down the numbers, talking about the turnout a little bit as well. And we're also going to be talking, of course, of Mile Square City. And part of that is going to involve Monday night shooting. And fortunately, today I'm joined by Hoboken's Public Safety Director, and that's Kenneth Ferrante. So we're going to talk about that and a whole lot more. And we're also going to chat on some Jersey City measures as well. And actually, I think I might even have an item or two out of North Hudson. So all that and a whole lot more right after we hear a break from our sponsors.
Burns Brothers Memorials, Monuments, and Markers, 787 Tunley Avenue, Jersey City. Hudson County's only monument maker, serving all faiths and cemeteries. Design, studio, and large inventory on site. Cemetery inscriptions and custom orders welcome. Burns Brothers Memorials, Monuments, and Markers, 787 Tunley Avenue, just south of Secaucus Road. Craftsmanship that will last for all eternity. Burns Brothers, Jersey City, Albert H. Hopper, North Arlington. Visit us on the net. Consumer Carpets, 3408 Kennedy Boulevard in the Jersey City Heights, your one-stop store for residential and commercial floor treatments, carpeting, linoleum, tiles, laminates, hardwood floors, area rugs, remnants, all major brands, all in stock. Free estimates, same-day installation. Consumer Carpets, it's savings, selection, installation. Credit cards and debit cards accepted. Financing available. Consumer Carpets, price to fit your budget, installation to fit your schedule. On the net at consumercarpets.com. Consumer Carpets, Jersey City, 201-792-2712.
Hudson County View, live and uncut, John Arhitis. And as I just mentioned a few moments ago, today I'm joined with Hoboken Public Safety Director Kenneth Ferrante. Director, thanks for coming in.
John, thanks for having me.
Very welcome. So, yeah, so let's get to the heart of the shooting. So there was an incident the first week of May, pretty sure that was May 1st, and now we just had one on Monday evening. So obviously, you know, I'm sure there's people that are concerned over in that area, the housing authority. So could you tell us what's going on and what you could tell us perhaps that could quell some of their concerns?
Well, there was a lot of concern, obviously, from residents in the area, those that use the Mama Johnson Field where this incident happened, right next to, actually right by the entrance. What we had at 9:19 p.m. on Monday night, a group of individuals approached another group of three right adjacent to the Mama Johnson Field on 4th Street between Jackson and Harrison Street. Short dispute occurs where there's multiple shots fired. At least 8 shell casings have been found from that scene. One individual was struck in the lower neck. There were police officers within 200 feet of where this incident happened, and that's where Chief Aguiar has labeled it brazen act, that even with police in the area, police response and police presence had already been beefed up in the area because of prior incidents earlier this year in 2022. And fortunately, with the officers being so close to the scene, immediately Officers Pisani and Grossman and Font tended to the victim, got him to the hospital immediately, tended to his wound, probably mitigated serious injury and serious bleed. The fortunate part of it is the individual was released and home the next day. The unfortunate issue is we've had 2 shooting hits in 5 weeks, but our detectives and our police personnel, under the direction of Chief Aguiar, are on top of this. He has beefed up the presence there. But also remember, it comes in light of everybody wanting police presence at the schools and daycares with what's happened nationally.
Sure.
So we have a national and regional trend of gun violence that is hurting all areas. You have also 2 different issues with it, where it was in mass shootings in other parts of the country, was legally purchased AR-15s by 18-year-olds with prior psychological issues, which creates one battle cry of gun control has to happen. And on the other end, just as News 12 had reported on Monday afternoon, there had already been 8 shooting hits in North Jersey in a 4-day period, ours becoming a 9th and 5-day period.
Yes.
This is a gun issue. Shooting violence has to be attacked on so many levels right now. Right now, it's from the police end is about beefing up the police presence in these areas, housing authority areas, schools. There's only so many police officers you have, though.
Right.
So there's also needs to be the community engagement part, which the pandemic did such harm in stopping community engagement in all areas. We had off of a January 2017 shooting, which was the last homicide in the Hoboken Housing Authority. We had a community dinner that had started monthly, and we had 5,200 people community engaging with police, elected officials, housing officials, residents of all ages. We had that every month.
Yeah.
From January of 17 right through till March of 2020, major community engagement program stopped. The lack of the socialization, I felt always the pandemic's biggest hits were to our teens, high school age and college age people. It set them aside from employment, socialization, sports activities, and we are just seeing way too much gun violence in the country and in our region right now.
Yeah, understood. And I know you're doing the pop-up policing again. We'll talk about that as well. But just on these specific incidents, any idea if this maybe is gun activity, if there's any, gang activity or any other explanation right now?
Nothing of that. You hear those rumors, it could be gang related, but there was no concrete evidence of gang involvement, gang crimes right now. We're hearing small groups of disputes from the last incident and this one. And our detectives are working, I tell you, around the clock to, first of all, get video footage. Housing Authority has outstanding camera system. Going outside that to get to private cameras that may have been in the area. And that starts getting us to try to identify individuals, were there any vehicles involved? Did they leave on foot? Did they use mass transit like a light rail? And that starts directing us to work with different agencies if it's something outside of Hoboken with the other group.
Got it. Okay. Now, at last week's council meeting, obviously you weren't happy with a couple council members' proposals to cut public safety, specifically your post and potentially your top 8, I guess that would be. Or, I'm sorry, that would get some deputy.
Yep.
And, look, I don't want to rehash it. I mean, you were quite clear, I think, at the time. But I think one point that actually a couple that people would like to hear about is first, you said, yes, you're making a salary and it's a decent salary with benefits, but you're saying in the long term, you're actually going to save the taxpayer money. So could you just hash that out for us?
I think one thing, I talked to Councilman Ramos and Councilwoman Fisher the day before. At length, I've had a couple of conversations with Councilman Ramos since I came back into this position. He voted against it. I wanted to sell myself to him and said, I want to change your opinion about my job and the validity and importance of this position. So I felt one of the things I needed to do publicly, I had told him I was going to do it, justify what I'm doing and how I'm going to be a benefit to the city on the financial end, because there's a financial issue which I think has turned a little political and personal, but if we're going to talk about on the record at a council meeting, okay, let's talk about the finances of it. Look at my track record as a chief of police. I was chief of police for 7 years. 7 stable budgets, always between 1% decrease, 1% increase. On 2 occasions at the end of the year when cities have to do line item transfers, if a different division is doing better with their budget, I was able to give 6-figure monies over to other divisions because I kept overtime low.
I know you got a lot more to say, Chief, but we're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back.
Stevens Jersey City Ford, certified parts and service located at Route 440 and Communipaw Ave, is your #1 source for Ford and Lincoln automotive needs. We use certified Ford Motorcraft products to keep your Ford running in top shape. Motorcraft parts are backed with the Ford warranty, which includes a 2-year unlimited mileage guarantee. Our team will have the right Motorcraft part to ensure the best performance from your Ford or Lincoln. You can order in person at the parts counter or online. Let us help keep your Ford or Lincoln in the best shape at Stevens Jersey City Ford.
Good Friend Self Storage in North Bergen, New Jersey is a fully climate-controlled facility equipped with state-of-the-art security, packing supplies, a Refer a Friend program, and multiple loading docks convenient for commercial use. Located just off of Route 3 at 4301 Tunnelly Avenue, Route 1 and 9. Call 201-867-2444 or visit us on the web today. Good Friend Self Storage. Let us be your good friend.
Hudson County View live at Uncut. Chad Arhitis, still with Hoboken Public Safety Director Ken Ferrante. So sorry, I had to stop you there.
That's
Okay. Please continue your thought.
It's good because we could lead it to, I think, the major financial impact I know I can make as a public safety director. As police chief, first 7 years in the position, now it's 8 running the city of Hoboken has not had to pay 1 penny of civil liability out due to anything from the Hoboken Police Department. It showed with training, correct staffing, correct data analysis, networking with the community. There was a trust that I was able to forge and build. Built a great command staff that helped me. Chief Aguiar was one of those, our current chief.
Yeah.
He was the head of our internal affairs unit, and now being a chief. We were very strict about professionalism of our police officers. Most cities, find a city anywhere in the region that had nothing paid out in 8 years, and you cover many cities. Another part is I was able to start a ESU team, emergency service unit team, purchase 2 trucks, all their equipment, all their training, their gear, without 1 penny cost to the taxpayer because of how I knew to utilize law enforcement trust funds. So no taxpayer impact. Also, we were so far behind in IT in our police department. We needed a major upgrade that was over $1 million. Was able to do that again through law enforcement trust funds, not 1 penny cost to the city.
Interesting.
Bringing that now, I have police, fire, and OEM under me. And also we're bringing EMS on the board. I'm on the EMS board as they move to a paid service from a full volunteer service.
On the point of fire, one thing that you mentioned last week, I just wanted to redirect to, is that you mentioned that there's now a new organizational chart, and you said that was going to be good for morale, and it was also going to be good for just overall, I guess, just diplomacy for the department, if that's the right word.
Yeah.
So yeah, just tell me about that.
Multifaceted of how we're going to transform Hoboken Fire Department. I have had so many meetings with Chief Peskins, his command staff of battalion chiefs, and I meet with their and talk to their union presidents frequently. It's all been positive these 3+ months. They did not have anybody retire in years. They have not had promotions, hirings. They have a median age of 16 years on a job, which is pretty high for a median. It shows they're not getting the turnover. They wanted to trust that those positions would not be folded, that they would be filled. And today is about the 7th retirement we've gotten with people who are going to be comfortable enough to retire. This is going to lead to promotions and hirings. We've already reserved 10 spots in the Bergen County Fire Academy for January. We're setting up promotion day for July to fill those placements of the retirees. And also, this all happened between increasing 1 battalion chief spot, funding itself, that I'm taking the money from the overtime, which most of the overtime in the fire department came from replacement of battalion chiefs when one takes off. And it's going to create a compliance unit. Compliance unit would be similar to what we have in policing with internal affairs. Instead of a chief having to worry about these discipline issues, uniform issues, training issues, rewriting rules and regs, a compliance unit, which will be a battalion chief of Chief Peskin's choosing, and a civilian employee will now bring a very management type position to fire. So from the upper level, starting July 1st, they'll have a new division that'll help that administratively. And then from the lower end, in the unions, they're so happy that the turnover is happening. We're going to have new firefighters come January. We're going to have a good group of promotions come July. And a lot of good ideas. They had lost a lot of specializations from full-time boat people, hazmat. In the next year, these are things I want to look to bring back. And that's bringing some morale up because some people have had specialization training. They're going to be able to use that again soon.
Sounds interesting. So now let's end on legal cannabis. Of course, you can't talk to too many law enforcement folks without this coming up these days, right? So first of all, we know that the AG put this directive out a few months ago that said off-duty officers are allowed to use cannabis, and obviously they can't be on the job impaired like any other job, I would imagine, right? But Hoboken, I don't believe, has taken a hard stance on this. So is your opinion, or is the city's opinion, that they're going to follow the AG's guide on this?
A police chief has to follow the Attorney General guidelines. Okay, and that's where the one issue. It's such a new area that changes monthly in all areas of cannabis, from use to dispensaries, distribution centers. The AG put out the opinion. It was a memo. It was not a directive or a guideline. Chief Aguiar had to follow that. He could not come up and take a forceful stance to say, I'm against this. Mayor Phillip took a very strong stance in Jersey City. By opinion, I agreed with his opinion. But as a public safety director, as Police Chief Aguiar, even in discussing with Mayor Bala, we could not come forth with a strong stance that would contradict what the Attorney General is saying, because Chief Aguiar and his police department have to follow those guidelines.
Point taken. We're running short, so let me just follow up with this. So when we hear people complain about dispensaries, whether it's Story, whether it's screen violence, whatever, and when they're talking about people smoking, on the waterfront. They're talking about people taking edibles and then drinking and driving. How does the police department respond to all this?
I think this is an issue that for about 5 years, New Jersey law enforcement has been preparing for. We were very involved with the governor's office in discussions about legalizing cannabis, the legalizing, not decriminalization, the legalizing of it. Our one major concern was traffic deaths on highways. That was one concern we saw in Colorado, where it went up large. So it was trying to get more DREs, which is drug recognition experts, in departments, but that is under scrutiny at the New Jersey Supreme Court level right now. Some of the narratives out there that this is going to bring more violent crime, we have not seen that around the country. Anytime you have a cash business, whether it's a bar, a bank, a store, there's a potential for robbery. I think it's going to be about
someone
the whole
told me
thing.
this week that if I own, John's Bodega on some corner in Hoboken, I'm actually legally allowed to sell a small amount of marijuana from behind the counter. Is that correct?
Partially. Right now, there's orders that policing cannot arrest someone that's selling less than 50 grams of marijuana. So that even includes a street. Where it stops, it hinders investigations into heroin dealers and cocaine dealers, is very, very tough right now for law enforcement to decipher what's being sold. Right now in the books, there's a 4th-degree crime. That's a new law with this legalization of cannabis, that if a police officer arrests, stops, or searches someone based off the scent or sight of smoking marijuana, that also could be charged with a 4th-degree crime.
Wow.
So a lot of people don't realize that, and it's causing police officers to take a step back a little bit when it comes to any type of drug issue, because remember, it's only cannabis that has been legalized, and certain weights of that.
Yeah.
But it makes it harder for the investigation and detection of other crimes, of other drug crimes.
Understood. Director, always a pleasure. Very
John, thank you for having me
informative.
again. Always great talking to you.
Yes, you as well. Ladies and gentlemen, thanks for watching. We're not done yet. We'll be right back.
Newport, the luxury waterfront community on the Hudson River, offers a quality of life you deserve in one of our many high-rise towers. With amenities such as the on-site Newport Path, light rail, Newport Town Square, 3 playgrounds, dog run, upscale restaurants, retail giants like Kohl's, JCPenney, Macy's, and Target. Morton Williams and Acme Supermarket are just outside your front door. A health and fitness center, skating rink, and medical facilities are also on site. Enjoy the New York skyline from our waterfront and various parks. Manhattan is just one path stop away, or a quick ride through the Holland Tunnel. Nursery and private elementary schools all on site. 12-screen movie theater at the Newport Center Mall. Looking to visit? Stay at the Westin or Marriott Hotel. For more information, visit us at newportnj.com. Make lasting memories to cherish forever. It's incredible. It's you, Newport. Live like you want.
Introducing the all-new Ford Maverick. A truck for people who do stuff. And people who make stuff. People like Gabrielle Union,
I make this look good, don't I?
who haul whatever they want to wherever they want. Like wood to build things made of wood with. And friends to get weird with. It's for long trips that the standard hybrid engine with a targeted EPA estimated city fuel economy rating of 40 miles per gallon helps with. That an 8-inch touchscreen connects with. And any trip that this interior makes more comfortable. But we'll let Gabrielle tell you all about it.
Or I could just tell them it's a Ford truck that starts at less than $20,000 MSRP.
Yep, that works too. The all-new Ford Maverick, built to defy expectations.
Panapinto Properties, Jersey City, shaping the workplace with state-of-the-art office spaces and addresses your company desires. Building residences that define your home environment, adjacent to all modes of transportation with on-site parking available. The right address, the right lease. Call 201-521-9000 or visit online at panapintodevelopment.com. Panapinto Properties, building Jersey City for everyone.
Hudson County View live at Uncut. John Arhitis. So let's talk a little bit about Tuesday again. No surprises. The congressional incumbents, that's Bill Pascrell in the 9th District, and then his other colleague, I guess, Donald Page Jr., also reelected. The Pascrell was uncontested, and Page just huge numbers, well over 80%. The closest challenger was at 15%. And Rob Menendez, just a tremendous showing in his own right, even though he is not an incumbent, looking for that seat that is being vacated by U.S. Rep. Albio Series, a potential West New York mayoral contender for next year. We saw him hit over 83%, so everyone that ran on the line had a really strong showing. However, it needs to be noted as well, I believe, that this turnout for this primary was really low. I mean, we're looking at about 8.37%, according to the Hudson County Clerk's Office. And out of the 12 municipalities in Hudson County, we only saw 2 of them have any districts that hit over 20%, and it's probably a surprise to no one that those 2 municipalities are Union City and North Bergen. Of course, due to those Democratic organizations by Brian Stack, of course, in Union City, and of Nick Sacco, of course, in North Bergen. So, look, it's a very in-depth article with a lot of nitty-gritty number details that I think most of you have probably read already, so I'm not going to rehash it too much, but I will just read something from Mika Rasmussen, and he's from Rider University, and we actually spoke about this, talking about voter turnout. He's the director of the Rebovich Institute of New Jersey Politics. So one thing that I think is worth repeating, he said, getting out the vote is not easy. It requires constant care, feeding, and tending. A party and its voters need to do it routinely or they get out of the habit. We don't need to go far to see the difference that 2 engaged mayors can make. It doesn't happen on its own. The longer that goes without, the harder it can be to get going again. Of course, he's talking about the impact of the COVID-19 pandemic. Of course, 2020, 2021, knocking on doors was all but obsolete. So all the numbers are there on HudsonCountyView.com, and I'll leave that there for now. And we're going to move on to an update that just came out really a little over an hour ago from the New Jersey Attorney General's office. So last Friday, as I'm sure you guys have heard by now, there was a fatal shooting in West New York. 1 police officer was shot. Fortunately, he's already home recovering. So I'll get into the details in just a moment. But today, the AG's office released the name of the decedent, which of course means the man who was killed on the scene. So, having said that, according to their preliminary investigation, West New York police responded to a residence on 59th Street at about 6:30 p.m. on Friday, and they were responding to a 911 call. When they arrived, a man named Kevin Colindris, 32 of West New York, fired a weapon at the officers, and 1 officer sustained a non-fatal injury. 2 officers discharged their service weapons and ended up killing Colindris, and 3 weapons were recovered from the scene. As with any police-involved shooting, the AG's office is investigating. Citing the ongoing investigation, they're not going to name the officer involved, but as I reported on Friday, I've been able to identify the officer as Police Officer Samuel Molina Urena. And on Monday, we heard from Mayor Gabriel Rodriguez, and in a statement that thanked the first responders who obviously did a great job at limiting the situation to what it was, he said that the officer is home recovering, which is obviously important to know. It is a good update, of course, on the situation. When we get a little more, which I hope would include the dash cameras and the body cameras, we're certainly going to let you know. So with that, we're going to take one more break. We'll be right back.
Not everyone celebrates the birth of a baby. You have options. Don't panic. New Jersey has safe havens for unwanted infants. Leave the baby with staff at any hospital, ER, police or fire station, or rescue squad. Call the number on your screen for safe haven locations or go to www.njsafehaven.org. No shame, no blame, no names. Safe Haven.
Hudson County View live at Uncut, John Arhitis. So a quick community note. So on the 4th of July, of course, Jersey City's known for, in recent years, for this extravaganza downtown. They have a lot of vendors, a lot of performers on a large stage, and they're usually household names. We've seen Kool and the Gang, we've seen Snoop Dogg, we've seen Pitbull. And of course, the past 2 years, we didn't have any of those mainstream performances, again, due to the coronavirus. However, happy to report today that is no longer going to be the case next month. We're going to see Flo Rida, who's a chart-topping rapper. You know him from hits like Right Round. You know him from Low, Good Feeling, My House. The list goes on. He's had quite a few popular hits that you've heard on the radio, on your podcasts, et cetera, et cetera. And he's going to be joined by Shaq, of course, Shaquille O'Neal, who DJ sets from time and time again. And we also going to hear from Funk Flex. Of course, I'm sure you knew growing up as Funk Master Flex. So it looks like a pretty good show, in my opinion. And we hear from Mayor Stephen Fulop on this one. And he said, Jersey City has transformed over our turn to be one of the best Renaissance stories in the country. And we strive to deliver the best product in everything we do, with 4th of July being another example. Jersey City residents deserve the best. We have taken the opportunity to deliver a free day of fun for families that may not have the means to pay for these types of events. So beyond that, not really too much else to say, except the fireworks are going to be produced again by Fireworks by Grucci. They're actually in the Guinness Book of World Records. They're one of the most renowned fireworks companies actually in the country. So, something to look forward to if you guys are going to be in the area on the 4th of July. So, back to the nitty-gritty politics. Let's talk a little Mile Square City. So, I actually got my hands on this judge's decision that came out on May 26th out of Camden County. So, why does that matter to us? Well, this was about a Hoboken resident that filed an Open Public Records request Open Public Records request that was seeking all of the email subscribers to Hoboken Nixle. So Hoboken Nixle does the emergency alerts for Hoboken, and up to this point, they have said that that's private information. Well, the judge in this case ruled against that, and now Hoboken is conducting a survey to figure out whether or not they're going to make these emails public. However, it sounds to me, based on a short statement from the mayor, that they are going to appeal this decision. So let's take a dive here. This just went up around 12:30 this afternoon. The Nixle alert that went out last night says this: the city of Hoboken recently received a decision in the Oprah litigation matter Carmine Sedora versus City of Hoboken et al., which would require the city to disclose the email addresses of all residents and individuals who signed up for Nixle alerts. The city strongly objected to the disclosure on privacy grounds. So, the decision is quite voluminous. It's actually a 50-page decision. The reason it is as many pages as it is because it was actually 3 cases that all concerned the state's Open Public Records Act combined into one. So I'm going to talk to you a little bit about what Camden County Superior Court Judge Deborah Silverman-Katz said in her decision. Again, this is May 26. The court has already held that the third-party agencies acted in a governmental manner so as to implicate the statutory reach of Oprah. If some category of information will be public when held by the government, then it makes little sense that it is now private merely because a third party holds it. Such a holding would be the foundation by which the governments could circumvent their public disclosure requirements. So as you can see, her opinion and the court's opinion, therefore, is that this is all part of public disclosure, and to not disclose this would actually hinder what Oprah has sought to do for years. Now, I actually heard back again from Mayor Ravi Bala in a statement, and he seems fairly definitive in that they're going to appeal. Of course, the survey that I mentioned is open till June 22nd at 7 p.m., so based on feedback, it is possible that they might change their minds, but as of today, here's what he's thinking. I believe the court's decision violates the trust of our residents placed in us to safeguard their contact information we rely on to disseminate vital emergency notifications in a crisis and important government information. This decision will have a chilling effect on our ability to effectively communicate and protect our residents who may now no longer wish to disclose their contact information. And I have city officials telling me since the publication of this story that they already have residents opting out, saying that they do not want to be spammed on any sort of marketing list, and that they just don't want their contact information to be a public record, and so they're just going to pass. So we're going to see what happens with this. Obviously, this is probably going to be an appeal that's going to take several months. I mean, there's really no such thing as a quick court case these days, but whatever the outcome is, we're going to keep you posted. So that brings us to time, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks for tuning in. I'll see you next week.